Hi, fellow sports lovers, and welcome to another episode of Timeout, the show anybody can watch about sports, stats, facts, and everything in between, from a fan point of view. I'm your host, Charlie, so let's go get this ball rolling. Timeout. Let's talk about some sports. Woo-hoo! Alright, fellow timeout lovers and sports lovers. Now, everybody's been pretty much asking me, Timeout Charlie, when are you gonna do a fantasy football mock draft? Well, your answers have been... Your prayers have been answered, and here we go. This is my rendition of the 2015 fantasy football mock draft that you guys can take a look at. And I gave 8 scenarios out to show what we're talking about here today in this mock draft. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get it going. Timeout. Let's do a mock draft. Okay, fellow timeout lovers and sports lovers, the first scenario that's up on the list is Mr. Number 12, Tom Brady. That's right, Tom Brady, the Patriots quarterback. He was a Super Bowl champ, had 33, that's right, fellow sports lovers, 33 touchdowns last year, 9 interceptions, and ran for, you ready for this? 4,109 yards. Woo! What a champ. Next is the running back and his new go-to guy, Reggie Wayne. Reggie Wayne is a Patriots running back. He had 64 passes last year as a Colt, 779 yards, fellow sports lovers, and 2 touchdowns. Okay, going with the wide receiver, we're going with throwing up the X, Mr. Dez Bryant. Dez Bryant had 84 catches with 1,290 receiving yards. Not to mention, fellow timeout lovers, Periscope lovers, sports lovers all over the world, 12 touchdowns. Not too bad for Mr. Number 88, Dez Bryant. Okay, for the defense, we're going to go with the Buffalo Bills. With Rex Ryan, all about that defense. You can't go wrong with Rex and his defense. Okay, coming up next on the list is our tight end superstar, ladies man, especially my lady loves him, Rob Gronkowski. Alright, the Mr. Gronk is for the Patriots. He got 82 catches last year, fellow timeout lovers, as well as receiving 1,124 yards with 12 touchdowns for the big guy. Woo! What a stud. And finally, we're going kicker, we're going back to Indy and doing Adam Vinatieri, who had 30 field goals, and 16 goal points. Alright, coming up on the second scenario, we got Aaron Rodgers. Okay, Aaron Rodgers is a quarterback for Green Bay, if you're not aware. Also a very bad man. Such a bad man, he got 38 touchdowns last year. Had a little bit of misunderstanding with 5 interceptions, but again, only 5 interceptions, fellow lovers. And then 4,381 yards. Wow, man, what a stud. Next to him is his superstar and awesome man, Mr. Eddie Lacy. Eddie Lacy from Green Bay, who got 9 touchdowns, ran for 4,139 yards, but had a little bit of a mess up and got 3 fumbles. But it's okay, because Eddie Lacy's still super stud, definitely a very good pickup if you still haven't done your fantasy football yet. Moving up next, we have Demaryius Thomas, wide receiver for Denver. Got 111 catches, fellow timeout lovers, sports lovers, ran for 1,169 yards last year and got 11. That's right, 11 touchdowns for the Sheriff, Mr. Peyton Manning. Wow. Moving right along. For our defense for this scenario, I went with the Green Bay Packers. I mean, with studs like Julius Peppers, who used to be a Bear, but it still hurts, but it's okay. Julius Peppers and the man of the hour, Mr. Clay Matthews. You just can't go wrong with that D. With going with the tight end, I went to Carolina's side and got Mr. Greg Olsen. Greg Olsen got 84 catches last year with 56, that's right, 56 first downs and 6 touchdowns. Pretty big stud if you ask me. Coming up next, we have our kicker. I went with Steven Gostkowski from the Patriots. He got 37 field goal attempts last year, and 35 he made out of those 37. So not too shabby as a kicker. Alright, next I have for quarterback, I went with Mr. Andrew Superstar Luck. Such an amazing guy. Who is the superstar. Next we have my man, Mr. Chicago Bears, the stud of the hour, okay? Mr. Matt Forte from the Bears. Man, did he have a heck of a year. I mean, it was a little tough having somebody like Cutler, but still definitely a very good pickup. Next we have our wide receiver, Odell Beckham Jr. That's right, from the Giants. You remember him with the amazing catch. I wish I could do it, but I really can't. But still, incredible catch last year. Well, he also got 91 passes last year, fellow timeout lovers, sports lovers, with 1,305 yards to be exact, and 12, that's right, 12 touchdowns. Man, what a stud. Next, for the defense, we're going with the Jets, Jets, the New York Jets. With the NFL draft and Coach Ted Bowles pretty much picking up a lot of defense players with the Jets, we'll see what happens this year. Finally, my tight end, I went with Mr. Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham from the Seahawks. Used to be a Saint, of course, as you know. He got 85 catches last year as a Saint, as well as 10 touchdowns for 889 yards. Wow, what a stud. And finally, the kicker that I chose was Mr. Justin Tucker, Mr. Justin Tucker from the Ravens, who got 29 field goals made last year. Okay, my fourth scenario would have to be Mr. Russell Wilson. Seahawks quarterback, if you're not familiar with that. He got 20 touchdowns last year, fellow timeout lovers. 7 interceptions, so a little bad with that. But he ran for 3,475 yards. Man, what a stud. Next, I decided to go with Mr. Marshawn Lynch, also known as Beast Mode from the Seahawks, who got 13 touchdowns, ran for 1,306 yards, and got not 1, not 2, but 3 fumbles. But still, definitely a stud. Next, we have the man of the hour, Mr. A.J. Green! Woo-hoo! From Cincinnati. Oh man, this guy is, what a stud he is, guys. If you can pick him up, definitely a good pickup. Especially he had 6 touchdowns last year, 46 first downs, and ran for 1,041 yards. So, definitely a stud. With this scenario, I went with the Seattle Seahawks defense. Defense wins championships, just as the Seahawks. They really have stepped up their game when it comes to defense. Next, for tight end, I went with Travis Kelce from the Kansas City Chiefs. With 5 touchdowns last year and ran for 862 yards, which 67 receiving yards. He's definitely one of those up-and-coming tight ends that I think could be in the top, without a doubt. Alright, moving right along, then I picked Steven Hakushki, who was able to get 31, that's right, 31 field goals made last year. Moving right along, my number 555 pick is the Sheriff, the one and only, Peyton Manning. Oh man, was he a super stud last year with 39, that's right, 39 touchdowns for the Sheriff, but interceptions, he was doing pretty not so great with 15, that's right, 15 interceptions, and ran for 4,727 yards though. Still definitely somebody to absolutely pick up. Right next to him is I picked his stud up, Mr. C.J. Anderson. C.J. Anderson had 8 touchdowns last year and ran for 849 yards and did get a fumble, but I definitely think that he's going to step up his game this year. Next, I went with wide receiver, Mr. Randall Cobb from Green Bay. With 91 catches last year, 12 touchdowns, and 1,287 yards, not to mention 71 first downs. Not to mention, because Gordy Nelson is unfortunate, if you guys haven't heard by now, I don't know what you've heard, but why you haven't heard it, but he tore his ACL. So, personally, I think he's really going to throw to this bad boy here. Moving right along, for defense, I went with the Denver Broncos. You just couldn't go wrong with that Broncos D. Moving right along, the tight end I chose was my Chicago Bears superstar, Martellus Bennett. Martellus Bennett from Chicago got 90 catches last year, 6 touchdowns, 43 first downs, and ran for 96, that's right, 96 yards. Man, talk about off to the races. Definitely somebody, if you can pick him up. And finally, the kicker I chose for this scenario is Cody Parkey, with 32 field goals made this year. Alright, my next scenario was Tony Romo. Tony Romo, the quarterback for the Cowboys, got 34, that's right, 34 touchdowns last year, 9 interceptions, so he's got to work a little bit on that, but got 375 yards. Okay, so definitely stepping up his game. Moving right along, I went with his old buddy, and I know it might hurt some Cowboy fans, but he's definitely somebody to go with, Mr. DeMarco Murray from now Philadelphia. With 13 touchdowns last year for the Cowboys, 1,844 yards, but he did mess up with a couple of those fumbles, 5 to be exact. But still definitely somebody to absolutely pick up. With wide receiver, I went with the X, Mr. Dez Bryant. Tony Romo and Dez Bryant are just a match made in heaven. They just work together like peanut butter and jelly. It just happens. Next, I went with the defense of how about them Cowboys? With having Sean Lee and superstars like him all through the Cowboys league, defense this year is stacked to the max. Coming up next with the tight end, I chose Mr. Jason Witten. Jason Witten for the tight end for the Cowboys got 703 yards last year, fellow sports lovers, with 5 touchdowns. And finally, with the kicker for this scenario, I went with Matt Prater from Detroit with 21 field goals made this year. Okay. Now, my next scenario is Mr. Big Ben Roethlisberger from the Steelers. Steelers quarterback stepped up his game last year, got 32, that's right, 32 touchdowns. Kind of a little mess up on the interceptions, 9 to be exact, but did run for 4,952 yards. Next, I'm going to go with his go-to guy, his knight in shining armor, Mr. Le'Veon Bell. Alright, Le'Veon Bell got 8 touchdowns last year, ran for 1,361 yards, and that's right, fellow sports lovers, goose egg, eero, no fumbles. Moving right along, we're going with the wide receiver, AB. What you doing today? Working out. Antonio Brown. Woo-hoo! This superstar, amazing man got 13 touchdowns last year, fellow sports lovers, and ran for 1,698 yards. Definitely somebody, if you can pick up, definitely pick up in the first round, without a doubt. All right, for the defense, I chose the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins. Now, I know, fellow sports lovers, timeout lovers, why would we choose somebody like the Miami Dolphins? But with having Cameron Wake, Brett Grimes, also known as Mega Grimes, if you haven't figured, Optimus Grime, if you haven't figured that out yet, as well as having that big fish in Miami, Sue. You don't want to mess with Miami's D this year. And finally, for tight end, I went with Mr. Jordan Cameron, who played for the Cleveland Browns last year, but now is a Dolphin. Got 2 touchdowns last year, but did run for 424 yards. And I feel like Tannehill's definitely going to target, definitely going to hit. Finally, for my kicker for this scenario, I went with Mr. Dan Bailey, kicker for the Cowboys, with 25, that's right, 25 field goals made last year. Okay, fellow sports lovers, timeout lovers, Periscope lovers. So, as you probably may or may not know, I absolutely love fantasy football, and I play it myself as well. So this last scenario, number 8, is actually my actual roster for one of my leagues this year. So I'm gonna tell you about who I decided to choose this year. First off, I'd like to say I was first pick, number 1, always. All I do is win, win, win. So start that off. Secondly, so I got my quarterback. I'm going with Mr. Drew, all day, every day, Breezy. Mr. Drew Breezy had a very good year last year with 33 touchdowns. It wasn't doing so hot with interceptions, to be completely honest with you. 17 interceptions, but he did run for 4,952 yards. And I think that Drew Brees is definitely, he's got a young kind of Saints team. Definitely think he's going to target Brandon Cooks a lot. Wish I could have picked him up. Unfortunately, somebody else did. But anyway, definitely think he's going to be a stud this year. Moving right along, I went with, since I was the first pick, and this was actually my first pick, all day, every day, Mr. Adrian Peterson is who I chose. AP is for the Vikings, if you don't know. Unfortunately, last year he got no touchdowns, and he did only run for 75 yards. But that was because of the whole situation that was happening with the National Football League and him. And, of course, the relationship with him and the Vikings. But I feel like this year, it's all about AP, and he's ready to rock and roll. Okay, my next pick, wide receiver, I went with superstar Julio Jones from ATL, who got 6 touchdowns, and was running for 1,593 yards. Okay? My defense, I decided to go way different, way on the other side, to be honest with you, fellow sports lovers, timeout lovers. And I went New England Patriots. I know, but I mean, personally, I think with everything that's been happening, I really feel like that defense is ready to make it happen just one more time. Next, I picked Jason Witten. I told you about his stats earlier, so definitely a big pickup. And then finally for kicker, I had to go with Chi-Town, and I went with Mr. Robbie Gould, who did 9 field goals made last year, but I feel like this year he's definitely gonna work on that paycheck and make as many field goals as possible for Chi-Town. Alright, by the way, fellow sports lovers, timeout lovers, I decided to do a little helpful tips for the first time fantasy drafters. First rule, I feel like, is don't pick up a quarterback first. Go running back or wide receiver. In this type of league, honestly, fellow timeout lovers and sports lovers, you really want to go with wide receiver or running back. I know, you want to make sure you get that stud quarterback, but you want to focus up here and here, because who you get here depends on what you're receiving as a quarterback. Another good hint for you fellow timeout lovers to get your rock fantasy superstars is pick your defensive and your kicker last. So many people think, oh, I gotta get my defense, No, timeout. It's okay. They're going to be there. It's gonna be okay. Defense is important, yes, but not as important as a running back, a wide receiver, a tight end, and a quarterback, of course. And finally, and also, go with your head, not your heart. Take it from somebody who knows from personal experience. I've been before going with my heart, and it hasn't helped me in the past. You want to think about stats, facts, all of that. Do your research and really take the time to figure out who you want as your fantasy superstars, rock stars, and not stars. And finally, relax. Have a good time. It's only football. I mean, it's a great time. It's a great time to be with friends and family. Good little rivalry. But remember, it's just a game, and we're all here to just have a great time. Well, extra, read all about it. Hot off the presses. Okay, fellow sports lovers, just in case you missed it and you've been under a rock or haven't watched any television or decide not to check your news feed, that's right, Tom Brady has been lifted, fellow timeout lovers, Periscope lovers, sports lovers, all of his charges about Deflategate. With this battle of the National Football League versus Brady, they took it all the way to the courtroom of Judge Richard Berman, who, by the way, if you're not familiar with this man, he's helped out, helped out the government with Al-Qaeda, terrorists, and different things like that. So this was kind of a walk in the park for Mr. Berman. He decided that Roger Goodell, the commissioner, as well as the actual National Football League, accused Tom Brady of deflating the footballs before he was proven guilty or not guilty in a court of law. So, thus, Tom Brady proving that he will, let me make sure I tell people in the back to get this right. Tom Brady will be playing the first game as well as all the games of the regular season. So on September 10th, when the Patriots, now having a devil-may-cry attitude are going against the Steelers, all I can say is for those other teams, watch out, because Brady and his boys are coming for that ring, no matter, and nothing is gonna stop them. Well, that's my show, fellow sports lovers. Thanks for tuning in. If you want to go ahead and like it, go ahead and give me the thumbs up. Or if you're watching on Periscope, don't forget to give me those hearts. Or you can leave me a message below the video here, at the comment section. And don't forget to hit me up on social media, on Facebook at Charles Cowan Timeout. And finally, hit me up a tweet on Twitter, as well as Periscope, at TimeoutNow87. Until next time, Timeout! Let's talk about some sports.
Well, that's my show, fellow sports lovers. Thanks for tuning in. If you want to go ahead and like it, go ahead and give me the thumbs up. Or if you're watching on Periscope, don't forget to give me those hearts. Or you can leave me a message below the video here, below the at the comment section. And don't forget to hit me up on social media, on Facebook at Charles Cowan Timeout. And finally, hit me up a tweet on Twitter as well as Periscope at Timeout Now 87. Until next time, Timeout. Let's talk about some sports.